Welcome to Bright Minds. I am the Seeker. I seek the truth about reality. I suppose that by now we have a bit of a good understanding of what knowledge is, justified true belief. We can also see how important justification is, because reality isn't directly present to our minds for us to know whether a belief is true or false. All we have is justification, and justification can give us an idea about the truth of a belief. Today, I'd like to discuss a very important form of justification: evidence. What is evidence? How does evidence justify a belief? What makes it so important? To find out about all that, stay tuned. What is evidence? When can I say that X is evidence that Y is true? It appears to me that there must be a strong relationship between X and Y. There must be a strong correlation between them in such a way that when I observe X, I can be confident about concluding that Y is true. But how do I know about that correlation in the first place? Here we can go back to what we had discussed before about sources of knowledge and justification. The best way to know about a correlation between two things is to observe it, perceive it through the senses. Let's say that we saw an ambulance and we heard its siren many times, enough for us to correlate the unique siren with the ambulance. Then, we only heard the siren. We can be justified in concluding that there is an ambulance. Of course, this is an oversimplified example, for in reality there can be many competing hypotheses that can explain our evidence. Moreover, when X is provided as evidence for Y, one has to make it clear how X is evidence for Y. For example, it's not enough to say, look at living things, they are evidence for intelligent design. In this example, one has to specify how living things are evidence of intelligent design and how the hypothesis of intelligent design is the best explanation for the presented evidence. Here, living things and their complexity. This was just an example. I am not discussing whether intelligent design is true or false here. Of course, when we speak of evidence, we mean the total body of evidence available to us to judge the likelihood of a certain hypothesis. As we come across more evidence, the likelihood of the truth of a certain hypothesis changes. It could increase or decrease according to the evidence. We often have the case where different rational people have the same body of evidence, yet they arrive at different conclusions about the hypothesis that best explains the evidence. This is because the truth of a hypothesis doesn't only rely on the content of the evidence, but it also relies on the initial or prior probability that the hypothesis is true. Therefore, rational people can disagree, even having the same evidence, because they have different prior probabilities for the hypotheses in competition. We could ask, how do we get a good prior probability of the credibility of a hypothesis? In the absence of any prior evidence or any indicator that one hypothesis better explains the evidence we have, it is rational to give all competing hypotheses equal probabilities. Later, as we accumulate evidence for or against a hypothesis, its prior probability is adjusted to match the evidence we already have before considering new evidence. We can talk more about this when we discuss Bayesian epistemology, which I will leave to another video. Speaking of the truth of a hypothesis, rationality and evidence are our best chance at arriving to knowledge. Justified true beliefs. We should proportion our beliefs to our evidence in such a way that we believe as far as our evidence goes, no more and no less. Granted, in some exceptional cases, our current body of evidence might lead us into believing something false. However, it is still the rational thing to do because we have no other reliable way by which we can gain knowledge. For example, let's say that we didn't have the sense of vision, and we can't otherwise detect the existence of light. The rational thing to do there would be not to believe in the existence of light. until further evidence is found to support the existence of light. So even though in reality light exists, in that situation, we wouldn't be justified in believing light exists. We wouldn't be justified in affirming that light didn't exist either. We just lacked evidence for the existence of light, so we should suspend our judgment regarding the existence of light. I believe that in most cases, when we talk about matters of the external world, evidence should be communicable. That is, we should be able to communicate our evidence with others, and others should, at least ideally, have access to the evidence. That way, evidence can play the role of a neutral, objective arbiter between different competing hypotheses. Evidence is that which makes evident something that otherwise isn't. Therefore, it should be accessible for everyone to be able to adjust their beliefs about the external world accordingly. In this video, I've just discussed my understanding of evidence. For a better understanding, I've left you sources in the description below. I highly recommend taking a look at them. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and of course, if you have anything to say, I welcome your comments. If you liked this video, please don't forget to like and share with others, and to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. You can click the bell button too to know about my videos as soon as they are out. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, until we meet in the next video, be safe and stay curious.